All right, this is fascinating to me, the Russell Brand saga, right? So obviously, as it stands now, Russell Brand has been accused of serious sexual assault allegations ranging from just, sexual assault to actual rape. This was done in, this joint investigation from all of these British news outlets. And of course, he vehemently denies that he did anything wrong. And I think that it's important that we take the accusations seriously. There was some proof that was given, but I want to just take set that aside because we don't know what's true and what's not, right? But the UK Parliament has already been sending letters to social media platforms. TikTok, they sent one to Rumble. They said that they were concerned that Russell Brand could be profiting off of these platforms. So here's some of this letter here. I am writing concerning the serious allegations regarding Russell Brand in the context as a user of TikTok with more than 2.2 million followers on the platform. That Rumble got a very similar letter. And so they were asking, could you please let us know whether or not Russell Brand is monetized on this platform, if he is receiving money from this platform. I have a big problem with this. You'll see it. Go back to the shot you just had. The end line says, we want to make sure that this platform is doing what it can to ensure that creators are not able to use the platform to undermine the welfare of victims of inappropriate and potentially illegal behavior. Potentially illegal behavior now. So you can get accused of something, and the British government is going to pressure a company, an independent company, to stop paying you. What world am I living in right now?
Well, yeah.
This is so crazy to me. This is so crazy. I agree with you. We don't know if these allegations are true. Nobody knows if these allegations are true. Right. I can tell you right off the bat that if allegations come from anonymous sources and they aren't coming through police, and they're coming 15 years later through a news organization, I'm not sure that we should give them credibility because it is unfair to the accused.
I agree.
As an accused, you have to have the right to defend yourself, and you can't defend yourself unless you know who your accuser is. So Russell Brand behaved very promiscuously, very awful. I'm sure we would all be absolutely horrified by his sexual exploits when he was at the height of his Hollywood fame. Does that mean he's a rapist? I have no idea. Right. Nobody has any idea. But the fact that this isn't a criminal accusation, the fact that this is a news report obviously intended to smear his character, and they're trying to demonetize him for it, that should awaken everyone to the implications of what this means for our husbands and our brothers and our sons. If an accusation can cause social ostracization, this is quite something. And I actually do think it's relevant to look at what the accusations are. When I was reading that original article from the Times UK, the premise of the article, the very first allegation, it was like the subheader said, oh, a girl texted him after a sexual encounter and said no means no. When a girl says no, she means no. And the Times reported and said, and Russell Brand responded and said, I'm very sorry. Well, the first time I read that, I reacted and I was like, whoa, that doesn't sound good.
Right.
That's the premise of their article. You scroll down to like page 15 of their report, and they actually have a screenshot of the text messages. They completely misrepresented the text messages. They weren't talking about her saying no to sex. They were talking about her saying yes or no to a condom.
A condom, right.
I'm like, I'm sorry that that's like graphic and no one wants to talk about condoms, but that changes the entire context of this allegation. So if someone's if this is an anonymously sourced article and the premise of the article is misrepresented, and they immediately go into using government entities to try to pressure the demonetization and career destruction of someone who's speaking out against the elite, I think it's okay to say this sounds fishy.
Yeah, no, I mean, I totally agree. And look, when we talked about it the other day, and I said, look, I understand as a woman, you may not want to put yourself out there when there is a celebrity or someone who is, in the news. If he does something to you, I understand that you wouldn't want to put yourself out there and go public and accuse them of all these things publicly. Like, there's a lot that comes from that you may not want. However, if you don't tell anyone and don't go to police, and 15 years later you do tell anonymously a news outlet who you only told when they came knocking at your door, you better be ready for some questions to be asked of you, right?
And they told the news reporter, this was actually reported in the Times article, that they weren't ready to talk until the news reporter came to them, and their motivation was that he was growing in prominence on his shows online. I'm like,
right. Alarm bells going off.
Major alarm bells.
Yeah, Yaku.
Yeah, look, we deal with this weekly, right? We just filed a big case with the FBI last week where a girl's finally speaking of her abuse on the hands of her father, and it's been about 15 years. But you follow the channels of law enforcement.
Right.
And typically, and I deal with this, thousands of cases. I've sat across the table of these women when we're doing the actual reporting, right? They're so scared of actually talking. So seldom is it just, let me talk to a news outlet, because their fear of public ridicule themselves, their fear of their lives, their backlash. I'm talking about a girl sitting with me in front of the FBI and her whole body is shaking, looking at me, can you keep me alive? That's real.
That breaks my heart.
Yeah.
Blabbing to a news outlet because Russell Brand dares to go after King Charles and the royal family, and dares to change his own behavior, and is moving towards Christianity, and is moving towards truth, and is using his own platform to call a spade a spade. That's very inconvenient by the Brits. And this is why Americans have to kiss the ground and praise God you're American still, where you have to be innocent until proven guilty.
Right.
Under the Biden administration, maybe not so much.
It's supposed to be that
but
way.
they don't have the First Amendment rights we have here in the UK. And this is going to be tough for Russell because that family, if you come after that family, the royal family or the kingpins in that tribe, they spare nothing. I mean, we can start talking Princess Diana and crazy things. So typically, the women who have been abused will go to law enforcement, even if it's 40 years later. Yes, and if a guy rises in prominence and they go, you know what, that's not right, I want to now go. It's normally at law enforcement because they want protection. They're not going to go to a news agency that can't protect them, and all of a sudden they're exposed. So I question this, innocent until proven guilty. We have to pay attention to it. But now you've got to go dig and find the facts. And I think when you start cross-corroborating, you may have a Brett Kavanaugh situation on your hands here, right? Where it's an accusation for the sake of, well, go after a guy, just for the sake of going after a guy.
I just think the implications of this, I mean, the fact that YouTube demonetized him based on an anonymous allegation.
And what does it matter if he's monetizing his content? The platforms are there for you to be able to monetize.
It's not. I mean, they just don't want him to grow in prominence because he's speaking out against Pfizer and Moderna.
Exactly.
And he does have a following from outside of just the political niche because he was in Hollywood. It's crazy to me. I think from a philosophical standpoint too, that these women probably regretted their casual sexual encounters with him, right? Like women that engage in hookup culture oftentimes regret it. They feel dirty, they feel used because they were essentially objectified by a man. And because we have blurred the line of morality, they conflate immorality. Because what he did to them wasn't moral.
Right.
Like, it was wrong, it was bad. I mean, I at the time, I'm sure if we had thought about it or if any of us were paying attention to him, which we probably weren't because he wasn't political, we would have condemned it. The media at that time were praising him for his sexual exploits, worth noting. But I think that these women also conflate like the immoral ramifications that they probably are still suffering from their behavior and from his behavior towards them. And they're conflating that with illegal because we as a society have told them that it's not immoral what he did, that they shouldn't feel bad, that it's empowering, yet they're sitting here with these feelings. So they're like, well, if I feel bad and this wasn't empowering, he must have done something wrong and illegal.
If you like that clip, there is plenty more where that came from. Click the link in the description below to subscribe to the News and Why It Matters YouTube channel to watch the full episode.